Been looking forward to this one, Lubin.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get some fish, Lee. The river looks really good, so all going to plan.
Nice skinny little water. This is Lubin Pfeiffer, a very good friend of mine. Now, Lubin's put us onto some huge Murray cod in the past, some beautiful yellow belly. And today we're back in the Barossa Valley in South Australia. And mate, the target species today is a redfin or an English perch. And a lot of people think of them and think of these stunted little fellas like this, but some of the fish that Lubin catches in this area are absolute honkers, mate. What's the plan? It looks like really skinny water, but are there some big fish to be found?
There are big fish, but hopefully we'll get some fish around 40 centimetres or a couple of pound.
Yep.
We're just going to fish some sinking lures, like rip and wraps or the CD5s,
Yep.
And see how we go.
Short cast, light tackle, beautiful scenery. And let me tell you, there's a bit of frost on the pumpkin this morning. It's early autumn and the mornings are cool, but I can tell you now there's already a bit of heat in that sun. And I think it won't be long until the jumpers are off, mate. Where are we starting?
Right here.
Okay, I'm there.
Awesome.
Let's go. Got him. Oh. There we go. Oh, it's a good one. Oh. Oh. Oh, that is, what a beautiful looking fish. They're regarded as a noxious pest, but I just love redfin. They are an amazing looking fish. And when you're catching them in really skinny water like this, and they're of this sort of size, they're just a beautiful looking animal. Look at that. That is just a really good way to start a Saturday morning. They're just quite the adaptable predator, and they are a predator. They eat a lot of food, but the great thing about this, catching one this size, it means there's probably not thousands of them in this waterway. Would that be a fair call?
Oh no, there's a few, which is
there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now mate, to me that's a beautiful big redfin. Is it a good one for this area?
Yeah, very good. 40 centimetres is sort of a trophy fish here, so done well.
Very happy with that, mate. And that was one of my highlights, one of my, goals for this trip was to catch a big reddy.
Yeah,
a lot of people
it's
going,
small water too, so.
Yeah, everyone's like, what, you're going to catch redfin? I'm like, yeah, but these are proper reddies. Now, mate, I'll give you that because, unfortunately.
Yeah, he has to go in the smoker, so in South Australia, you're not allowed to return redfin to the water.
Okay.
Because they're a noxious species, so.
But the upside is, reddies taste fantastic.
They are beautiful. So.
Really good eating. So I'll let you go do the things with that. That's the lure I caught him on, one of my favourites. You've seen me use this lure a lot on Fishing Edge. This is the small 4 centimetre rip and wrap Rapala. Bright colour, it really stands out in this tannin water. This water looks black. Once you get a bit of sunlight on it, you see it looks a bit like a cup of tea. It's sort of tannin and it's stained from all the gum leaves and the tea tree that falls in the water. But such a good lure. It vibrates, I can sink it down into the holes, I can wind it up high, I can do all sorts of stuff. But it works so well when you cast it in and just let it flutter down and give it a hop, and that perch did just exactly that. As it sunk down, he just sucked it in, and that's why the lure was so far down his mouth. It's a great way to spend a weekend, and I can't wait for the rest of this day. Let's get to it. Look at that. This water's actually quite clear. That sun just cracked through one of those trees and lit the water up. And it's actually very, very clean water. And that is a beautiful, clean reddy. And I'll tell you what, in water like this, a fish doesn't have to be 10 or 20 pounds to be a lot of fun to catch. And on a little 1 to 2 kilo spin rod, a fish like that is a memorable experience. The birds think it's pretty cool. Look at this guy. If I do that and open up that big dorsal, that is one good looking animal. It's a shame really that we can't let them go, but rules are rules. So I'll pop these hooks out. I better go see what Lubin's up to. So important, even fishing small water like this. We've got really heavy shadows because it's early morning, you've got the trees and everything happening. You still need your Polaroid sunglasses. Something like this amber lens costs is so good because even though this just looks like dark water, when you put them on, you'll see the little variations and you'll see little shadows from sticks. You'll see little bits and pieces that can make all the difference. Lubin's not just casting randomly through this pool. He's actually aiming at little logs and sticks or a little drop off that runs down this edge here, which you can only see by having your Polaroids on.
Looks pretty sweet, dude.
Doesn't it, mate? Nice little backwater. You go first, Lubin. Yeah, get out of your way. Jump up on this side so I'm not behind you.
Oh, good fish. Crack
He hasn't woken up. Oh, that's awesome. Well done, mate. That's nice work. How's that?
Single, so hopefully it stays in there. That
shows that point too, working that lure right in, doesn't it? Like he was just there.
Smashed it just there.
You think you can see everything and you just can't. That's a beautiful big fish. Look at the mouth on him. Oh. Now, I'll get down here on my knee and I should be able to get a thumb grip. Look at that. That is a, oh man. That's as good a red as you could hope for. Look, he's all beaten up.
Yeah.
Got the battered fins. Look, and that beautiful. Is that a storm?
Flutter stick.
Flutter stick,
Yeah.
little sinking stick, you know?
Yeah, taking the small trebles off and just put the one big single.
Yep.
Seems to hold the fish a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going anywhere, is it? They're just such a great looking animal. I mean, when you do that, he's got that big sort of bumpy head and he's putting that dorsal up. Quite the predator too, just a bit of a mean machine, that's for sure. And obviously a very healthy waterway, mate, if you're pulling fish this size out of it. I haven't seen him with this deep red fins for a long time either. Oh well, that'll be breakfast later on, I think, Lubin.
Awesome.
Keep that guy for the pan because we have to. Let's get to it. There's got to be more in here, doesn't there?
Yeah, you've got to get another one.
There's obviously plenty of food here, Lubin, like they're not skinny.
Nah, and a lot of yabbies and shrimps, so yeah, they can gorge themselves.
Does sink nice and slow, doesn't it? That's cool.
Good for brim as well.
Yeah.
Really good for big brim.
Little guy. Oh, that's more like the size redfin I'm used to catching, Lubin.
Yeah. Still pretty though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're interesting like that. They don't change at all, do they? They just get bigger.
So they got the dark coloration, the bright bands, and their bright fins, so they're really nice.
Look at that. He's a bit angry. He's got all his fins up. And I still have to get rid of this one, don't I?
Yeah, you can't put them back, so.
That's not a good thing.
But even it's still at that size, you still get, like, there's a lot of meat on them.
Look how solid he is, like through the shoulders. There's still, yeah, plenty of meat there. Yeah. All right, I'll go get rid of this guy, mate. You go catch one.
Sweet.
Mate, this is very, very different looking water to where we
a bit
started.
more open.
Yeah, yeah, so obviously different tactic.
Well, yeah, I was actually searching for schooling fish here.
Okay,
Down in the smaller pools, they'll hold in there, and you'll get them straight away, whereas here you sort of have to work through the water until you find schools of bigger fish.
Sure, so it's obviously a case of getting down where we can.
Having a few casts, you know straight away whether they're going to be there or not, so half a dozen casts and then sort of move along another 20 metres or so.
Beautiful, and we've got a kilometre or so of this to fish?
Yeah, so it's pretty open water and hopefully we can find some fish.
The one question I have though, being bigger water, it's sort of strange, but are they generally smaller fish here and bigger numbers?
Numbers are big fish, but numbers are smaller fish as well.
Okay.
So hopefully we can find the bigger fish.
Sure. Sounds good. Let's try and find a little pocket to get down into.
Yeah, down somewhere. Probably down there or something.
Bank there. And anyway,
all right,
we'll
cool.
sort it out. Just change lures while Lubin's catching up. And I can also show you the system I'm using. It's a very simple but very effective way. This is a Rapala sling bag. It's not just a shoulder bag, it's got a very specific purpose. First of all, cutters. You always need cutters. I actually have 2 sets on this. I'll show you the other one in a second. But a set of cutters right there is very handy. Just pull them out, put them back, you know, and they stay in just that little press stud. It's really handy. There's a large pocket here as well. But what makes this bag so handy is when it comes time to re-rig or change a lure, you spin the bag around like this. I've got a set of cutters there. I've got another pocket here. I've got a little camera in there. But watch this. We open this front tray up like this, and that's the whole idea of this system. It's like a little workbench for you. So your lures are in there. You're not trying to, you know, hold stuff and do stuff. It actually allows you to do that, open your lure box up, rig a lure, do whatever. And if you're standing in a river, you're not in fear of dropping it into the water or anything like that. I've got a big back section here. I've got all sorts of stuff going on in the back here, from, you know, scents to a couple of spare lures, all that sort of stuff. It just works so well, and best of all, it's in this nice compact little system. Once you've re-rigged or done what you're doing, spin that around and we're off fishing again. Let's go. Must be your turn, mate.
Hopefully.
Now this says it all really for a redfin, and what happens in many waterways, they just breed like flies. There's too many fish, not enough food, and even a fish that's 3 or 4 years old will be this big. It's not the case here. These guys are just breeding and they're probably coexisting, and the little guys are getting eaten by big guys, and you get this full range of fish. But they are such a predator, and as you saw, he didn't mind eating a vibrax spinner that was like that long. Mega pig. The gear I'm using today is really handy when you're fishing small waters, little trout rivers or pools and ponds, just like we're doing here. You don't have the luxury in many cases of fishing a long rod because you've got overhanging branches and all sorts of stuff going on. So I'm using an Imperium 1 to 3 kilo spin stick. It's 6'6" long, and it's perfect for throwing lures up to about 10 grams. So something like this little CD5 Rapala is absolutely ideal for it. It's quite soft in taper, so it enables you to just sort of edge the fish out off the snags and stuff when you hook them. You've got the Akuma RTX 30 spin reel with some 4 kilo Black Magic rainbow braid and just some 4 kilo Black Magic fluorocarbon. And I really like the fluorocarbon in this situation because there's a lot of snags and stuff, and even just walking through the bush, your line gets caught on twigs and stuff, and that heavy sort of fluorocarbon coating really makes that last, so that if you get caught on something, you won't lose those fish, and you certainly won't lose your lure. It's nice light gear, and it's a lot of fun to fish with. You go first. All right, let the snakes know we're coming, mate. I mean, so you can catch the first fish. Not very big, but anyhow, it's still a redfin. Let me say, in a lot of places that would be a standard size or even not a bad one. But in holes like this, and you can see this is really just a hole, and there's no water down there and there's not a lot of water up there. These fish grow quite big in here. They're in fantastic condition too, which indicates that they've got their own little ecosystem going quite nicely here. There's a good mix of small, medium and large fish to be found. Time for a change. I've been throwing around a spinner for a while and a sort of little shallow running Rapala, but now I'm going to go to a vibe, and that's where this is so good, this little system. It's like a little work table. And you can see here the sorts of lures that I've got. I've got some vibes there. I've actually got some silent vibes. I've got some noisy vibes, like all these rip and wraps and stuff. You've got little CD Rapalas. We've got deep diving little shad wraps and things like that. We've even got a couple of soft plastics that indicate or look like a redfin perch. It's worth having that range of lures because you're going to find not only different depths of water as you fish, but in this one pool here, there's all different areas. Some of these edges are actually quite shallow, or they've got a weed bed in them, or there's a big snag over there. So you don't want to be running something big and heavy or a great big deep diver into a weed bed. So there's certain parts of this bit that I'll fish with a deep diver, and there's certain parts that I'll fish with a shallow runner. The other great thing is these fish are obviously in a pool. If you put 30 casts in there, they've seen your lure. Change it. Put something else on, quite often a colour change or a different lure will straight away get you a bite. Like I said, I haven't had a bite for a while, so I'm going to go now to one of my favourites, that hot orange. It's called OCW 5 centimetre rip and wrap. I love this colour. I don't know why it works, but it just catches a lot of fish for me, whether it's bream and flathead or trout or whatever, and redfin as well. Great thing about fishing something like these ripping wraps, whether it's the 4 centimetre, 5 centimetre or the 7 centimetre one, they're very versatile. You can cover from the surface to the bottom. They cast like a rocket and they sink nice and fast. And one of the best ways I find to fish them is cast them in, let them sink down. Always be ready for the bite as it's sinking, because that's when most of the bites will come. Then give it a hop, and you can give it anything from a little slow hop like that, but I quite like to give it a bit of a flick like that, and you find it just pops that lure up off the bottom, gets it vibrating really hard. The other thing that works quite well with these guys is to give it what's called a slow roll. Just wind it like that, and that little vibe just trucks along with this little vibration just like that. He's quite slender, he kicks a lot of light, and the fish just absolutely love them. There's something about a vibe, I'm not too sure what it is. You work them faster than most lures, but they just catch fish. Got him. Is he better? No. Oh. He's got mates following him, and it's not uncommon with redfin to have this situation. I caught a fish just over there, cast back, get 2 bites straight away, just keep working the little rip and wrap, and straight away hook up again. And again, it's about the same size sort of fish, and he had 3 or 4 mates with him. There's a chance that when I cast back in, I could get another one, and that's pretty well one of the tricks of redfin fishing. You find the school. That's what guys go doing in the lakes. You go bobbing around the lakes and around the timber, and you might go for a while and catch 1 or 2, but when you find the school, you'll catch up to 100 of them. He has just wolfed that in, and that's a very good indicator too of how they feed. As that vibe's sunk, he just sucks it in, and they suck it in head first. And as you can see, the tail of the lure there sticking out, and the head of the lure is actually down his mouth. Anyway, I've got to try and get the hooks out of this guy. Yeah, this is going to be fun. He's got it way down. Here we go. There we go. It's just been all about working like a radius of casts. It's not a big fish again, but this is good fun. You know, it's tiny little water, and there's a chance though you could pull a redfin out of here that's 3 or 4 pound, but it's about working the radius, and I'm just sort of peppering my way around, and I'm also getting a very good understanding, he's a little bit better, of the bottom makeup here. I know over there in that back corner there's a big pile of weed. The lure hits the water, sinks for about 2 seconds, and it's in weed. Over here it's quite deep. Through the middle there's actually a snag. I've hooked it a few times, and then I've obviously got a snag here. So you can really take note of what you're doing and where your fish are and where your structure is, and it will help you to catch more fish every time. He's slightly better size. They're not tatty or anything like that. And to have a fish of this size and a lot of others in here like this, it indicates A, the water quality is good, and B, there's a lot of food here. Lubin said these pools are actually spring fed, so that's why they last through summer, and they're quite deep, and they just work. They've got that nice cool water constantly trickling into them. And again, he has just inhaled that lure head first. That was on the drop. I hopped it up over the top of the snag, which I knew was there, sort of cranked it up a bit. And once I thought I was past the snag, I just let the lure fall back down. I can't see the snag, but I know it's there. And on the fall, that fish has just sucked that in like a little bait fish. That's where this sling bag is so handy. You just do this, shut that, because I've got my phone and my keys in it. If I drop them on, if I drop the keys, I won't be getting home in a hurry. If I just pop that little hook out of there, and then if I reach in there and just get hold of that, and that's the little mini hook out gun. You always see me use the big hook out gun for snapper and stuff, but let me tell you, for small lures like this, you just cannot beat that little guy. It's just really handy. Very happy with that. He's got a little bit of blood coming out of his gills, and I am keeping this one to eat because they're just such good eating. Look at those vivid bars. They've all got 1, 2, they always have a V bar there, 3, 4. So they've sort of got 5 or 6 stripes really. I suppose it's 5 because that joins into 1. Because all I'm doing with the little rip and wrap is just hopping it. Oh, there we go, got him on. And it's always on the fall that you get the bite. Well, not only that, it's on the fall that you get the better hookup, because that lure is just, sinking down naturally. The fish gets a chance to suck it in rather than the lure being pulled away. There we go. Again, not a monster, but he'll do. How'd you go, mate?
Oh, I got a few down there.
Yeah.
So not huge ones, but sort of mid-sized ones.
Yeah, they're a good condition little fish.
Yeah,
I've got a few along that bank there, and every time you got one, there'd be a couple following it in.
Yeah, so it's a good waterway. It's fairly productive.
Fantastic. I never thought pools could be so much fun.
Yeah, no, it's good. Back to basics fishing.
It really is. It's time for us to get out of here. Lubin has been a legend as always. Big cod, big reddies. You are the man. That's it. Now, one question before we go. Why is the Barossa so good for grapes?
Because it's very dry.
Tell me about it. This joint's dry as a chip.
So they get very stressed, the wine.
Okay.
The grapes do, so that makes the best wine. So that's why it's so good. Yeah.
We got to go via a winery before I go back to Melbourne.
Awesome.
Let's do it.